Worms on demand. My simple DIY setup that guarantees a constant supply of black gold for pennies. Every gardener dreams of having an endless supply of rich, dark worm castings, nature's most powerful soil amendment. But if you've ever tried to buy worm castings, you know they aren't cheap. A single small bag can cost as much as a bag of premium fertilizer, and it disappears fast. The truth is, you don't need to keep spending money on worm castings when you can easily produce them yourself. With a simple low-cost setup, you can create a self-sustaining worm system that churns out black gold all year long. This is the Worms on Demand system, a practical, low-maintenance setup that lets your worms do the hard work while you sit back and harvest rich, biologically active compost whenever you need it. Let's start with why worm composting is the foundation of a thriving garden. Worm castings are packed with beneficial microbes, enzymes, and slow-release nutrients that plants can absorb immediately. Unlike chemical fertilizers that spike growth and then fade, worm castings continuously feed soil life and stabilize moisture. They're gentle on seedlings, invigorating for vegetables, and even restore tired, compacted soil. But beyond the biology, worm composting fits perfectly into a sustainable lifestyle. It recycles your kitchen scraps, keeps waste out of landfills, and honestly, gives you the most nutrient-dense compost money can't buy, literally. So, how do you build a system that keeps producing castings reliably without taking up half your backyard? Let's break it down step by step. Step 1. Choose the right bin. Forget fancy equipment. A simple plastic storage tote, bathtub, or wooden box can be turned into an ideal worm habitat. The key is aeration. Drill a few small holes around the upper sides for airflow and at the bottom for drainage. Worms breathe through their skin, and airflow prevents the bin from turning anaerobic. If you live in a hot climate, it's best to avoid black bins that absorb heat. Worms really do prefer cool, dark environments. For outdoor setups, place your bin in the shade or, better yet, partially bury it in the ground to help stabilize the temperature. Step 2. Build the bedding. Worms thrive in moist, soft bedding that mimics forest soil. Shredded cardboard, coconut coir, and aged leaves make a perfect blend. Moisten it until it feels like a wrung-out sponge, damp but not dripping. This bedding will serve as the worms' home and, well, their first food source. You can enrich the bedding with a handful of garden soil or finished compost. This inoculates the system with beneficial microbes and gives the worms grit to digest their food. Step 3. Add your workers. The most efficient composting worms are red wigglers, also known as Eisenia foetida. They're surface dwellers that feed quickly and multiply fast. A pound of worms, which is about 1,000 individuals, is enough to start a family-sized bin. Gently scatter them over the bedding and let them burrow down on their own. They naturally move away from light. Give them a day to settle before adding any food scraps. Step 4. Feed the system. Now comes the fun part, feeding your worms. Stick to plant-based kitchen scraps, like vegetable peels, fruit cores, coffee grounds, and crushed eggshells. Avoid meat, dairy, or oily foods since they cause odor and attract pests. Feed small amounts at first. A handful or two once a week is plenty until the worms reproduce and population increases. Always bury food under the bedding to keep flies away and discourage mold growth. The trick is to feed only as much as they can eat in a few days. When you notice older food vanishing quickly, that's your cue to increase portions. Step 5. Maintain moisture and airflow. Check your bin weekly. If it's too dry, just mist it lightly with dechlorinated water. If it's too wet, add more shredded cardboard or paper. Lightly stir the bedding every few weeks to prevent compaction and keep oxygen flowing. Healthy worm bins smell earthy and clean. A sour or rotten odor means there's too much food or not enough air. Easy fixes once you understand the balance. Step 6. Harvest your black gold. In about 2 to 3 months, your bin will be filled with rich, dark compost. It'll have the texture of chocolate cake crumbs and the smell of deep forest soil. That's your worm castings, or what gardeners like to call black gold. To harvest, just push all the material to one side of the bin and place fresh bedding and food on the other. Within a week, most worms will migrate toward the new food, leaving the finished compost really easy to scoop out. You can use castings directly in planting holes, mix them into potting soil, or even brew them into a nutrient-rich worm tea. Every handful of castings is just teeming with living microbes all ready to activate your soil. Step 7. Keep the cycle going. The beauty of this system is that it never stops. Once your worms have multiplied, they'll continue processing waste indefinitely. With steady feeding and occasional harvesting, you'll have a constant supply of worm castings without ever needing to buy fertilizer again. Each month, your bin turns scraps into soil-building treasure, feeding your garden, potted plants, and raised beds naturally. The Worms on Demand setup is, honestly, self-sustaining. It doesn't rely on electricity, heat, or even mechanical aeration. The worms pretty much regulate themselves. If they run out of food, they slow down, and when food is abundant, they reproduce. Unlike compost piles that need turning and temperature monitoring, worm systems are cool, quiet, and, well, really efficient. Even small spaces can host a bin, balconies, laundry rooms, or just a shaded patio. A single bucket of worms can power your garden for years. Once you start producing your own black gold, you'll never look at kitchen scraps quite the same way again. Worm composting isn't just a technique, it's a partnership between you and nature. So, if you're tired of spending money on bagged compost or chemical fertilizers, try this simple DIY worm setup. Feed your soil, not the landfill. And if this guide helped you, hit subscribe to Gentle Herb Living and share it with your gardening friends. Together, let's grow richer soil, healthier plants, and a greener world, one bucket of worms at a time.